Now, moving on to the advanced spreadsheet of week 2, we'll be implementing two new functionalities. One would be another way of normalizing the data and using the if statement. Now, we need the same data, same raw data in the beginning, so we'll just copy paste it from the intermediate spreadsheet, pasting it here, increasing the width of the rows, the columns, and the cells. Just to give us a better view of what the headings are and what the cell contain. Similarly for the normalized data, but just the first two rows, because we'll be implementing a new method. Escape. Now we'll insert a new row for the maximum of each of these columns in there, for the horsepower, the weight, and all of these, because we'll be implementing a new method for normalization. In here we're just copying the first cell from the raw data for normalizing it. Now in this one we'll be looking at the maximum values. Now you can see in the normalized data the values go beyond 100. What we can do is to get the highest value as 100, we can just take the maximum value from this raw data, selecting the maximum from C4 to C14, and then copying it to the whole table. So we get the horsepower, weight, and all the other values maximum using this formula. We can format this, because it's the currency, to be English United States. Now we need to copy the cars because they remain the same. Now for calculating the horsepower, we just need to keep the maximum value in the denominator. What we can do is C4, because that's for this particular cars, upon $15, keeping the maximum value as constant for each of the cars. This way we get 100 for the one that has the maximum horsepower, and the others have a lower horsepower in the normalized data. We can change the format of the numbers in here, keeping it numbers, and moving the text to the center. Similarly for weights, we need the maximum in the denominator for each of those cells. So we can just expand this. We have the same formula, corresponding formula copied, so it's corresponding to column D. We can just copy this to all the rows except the price, because the formula would be different for price. Now we can just use the bottom right corner of the cell to copy the values, double click on it, and this gives us 100 for Chrysler, which has the maximum weight, and similarly for each of those columns. Now the drive is it is not a number, so we can just copy paste the values. And similarly for the passenger capacity, It's 5 for each of those, so it doesn't matter, and the normalized data won't affect. Now the rear legroom can be copied, and the boot space formula can be applied to all the given cars. And now for the total price, we need the cars such that the car with the minimum price is our top priority. So we'll need to make some manipulations with the formula for the total price. Now, as we did in the intermediate spreadsheet, the only manipulation is we'll need to take the minimum of the total price for the given cars. So we'll just replace maximum with minimum. This gives us the minimum of the total, all the given prices. And what I can do is I can apply the same formula, keeping the denominator as the minimum value for the particular car, and copy this formula to all of those. Now we can see Mazda 3 has the minimum price, thus given the value 100 as the normalized data. Now, implementing the if formula, suppose we have a safety value. We don't have a safety value for a given car. It's 0. That way the normalized data gets corrupted as well. So one way of changing this is using the if formula in such a way that if, now we can see the logical test, if the value at M4 equals 0, then value if true, I added a comma, and the value if true becomes bold. So I'm putting the formula for if it's true, if M4 equals true, then I implement the average values from M4 to M14, because this way I can get the average of the safety value of the cars if I don't have the data for a particular car. Now, implementing value if false, if I don't have the value as 0, then I can just implement the formula which I was going with earlier, M4 by $15, keeping the maximum as constant, multiplied by 100. Now, we have the average value in here, but the data has not been normalized. To keep the data as normalized, we need to implement a formula in the true part that says dividing the value by the maximum of the safety rating. So this gives me the normalized data for the car which has the safety rating 0, for which the data is not given to us. Now we can apply this to all the given cars, but discrepancy can happen if in this case, because the formula has not been changed, there is an error in the formula. The values are not constant for the safety rating. It changes. So we need to keep the safety ratings as constant for each of those rows, keeping the set of values for safety as constant. Now we get the safety rating as with the normalized data according to the if statement. Even if the value is 0, we get the correct safety rating according to the table. Similar can be implemented for all the rows.